How we doing, everybody, today? My name is Tyler. Welcome back to the TooMuch podcast. Today is January 9th. Just to reiterate something real quick, I will be posting these kind of strangely. I know most podcasts are normally live, so I wanted to go over this real quick just so you guys understand that I'm maybe uploading this a day later or, going over it. We're not really doing uncut stuff. We're not editing. It's one take, but sometimes it's just our first couple ones. We want to make sure we're doing things right, and maybe we'll switch into a little easier way to go through things. But like I said, I'm Tyler, and this is Ethan, and we're back with number 2 of our MLB podcast here. It's been about a week, I think almost exactly 7 days, and we've had some stuff happen. We will let Ethan start off with a couple things he thinks are big so far in this offseason. In this last week, I should say.
So I guess we'll start off with Jota Imanaga. He's kind of the big name that's being talked about right now because he has to sign by this coming Thursday at 5 p.m., I believe. And it's been pretty mixed reports. Said that 4 teams were in on him: the Cubs, the Red Sox, Giants, and Angels. But today, apparently the Giants and Angels are out. And the Red Sox local reporters are saying that the Red Sox are a long shot, and Cubs local reporters are saying that they're a long shot. So nobody really knows what's going to happen. He's projected 5 years, 125, and it's going to start getting pretty crazy soon because he has to sign in 3 days.
Definitely a big time name, lefty pitcher out of Japan. Would be an ideal addition to the Sox.
He led the MPB in strikeouts last year, so I would like that on the team.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those guys too that it's be much more enjoyable to take a guy that's never pitched in the MLB versus a guy that's been Giolito. We talked about being good and everything, and we're excited for, but it'd be really cool to have a guy that we haven't seen pitch in the pros yet.
Yeah, he's projected to only be a 3 to 4 starter, which isn't too exciting, but you never know with a guy coming over from Japan how it's going to translate. He could get way better. He could be awful, but he's projected to be solid consistently. So, and he's in his prime. He's 30 years old.
Definitely one name to keep an eye on, and we'll definitely touch base on this again when it finalizes here next week when we record our next one. I guess we'll go over some of the things that have happened real quick. I'll just kind of go down a list I have here, and we'll touch base on the bigger ones after we go over the smaller ones. We had a smaller trade with the Rays and the Mariners. Caballero and Rayleigh swapping teams. Nobody really is going to lose sleep over that one. As I like to call him, Malik Manene, Sean Manene to the Mets. He is not good. I'm not sure why Mets fans are even remotely... I don't even know why that was reported, to be honest. I just know that he dominated us 1 week in fantasy. I don't even know why that guy was on that guy's team. Guillermo to the Braves. It's a little bigger name there. The guy's really fat. I'm not too scared of him. Brantley did retire. Pretty good card in MLB The Show, but outside of that, nobody's really going to be crying over him, I don't think. Brett Phillips, really elite player there for the White Sox.
He might be pitching for them. Good thing to look out for.
Little Red Sox shouted here. Chain Bloom to the Cards. Good addition by the Cards, I think. Should help them out a little bit in the long term. We had Woo Suk Go to the Padres. What do you think of that one?
I think that they are trying to not spend too much money and try to find some steals. So, maybe he'll give them some good innings, but I don't know much about him, and not many people do.
Besides, his name is awesome. He'll be on my meme team 1 year. 2-year deal with that guy. Then we had some bigger stuff happen. We had Bader go to the Mets. I think it's a decent acquisition for a really bad baseball team. Could stand out. Stays in New York, I guess it's good for him. He doesn't have to buy a new house necessarily, if he even owns one. Probably in an apartment. We had Robbie Ray traded for Haniger in Desclenfee. Giants.
Yeah.
swap.
That was kind of like that was not expected at all. I don't think. But
Yeah, I mean, Robbie Ray, do we think he's going to be bouncing back? Do we think he'll recover? Do you think he's worth being somebody to watch?
so he's going to be 1 year off Tommy John, which is I'm pretty sure it's Tommy John, but it usually takes them a full season to kind of get back to themselves. And he won the Cy Young 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now. And then his first year with the Mariners, he was still solid at 3.7 ERA, but I don't know. There's a reason why they traded him. They have a lot of good pitching already, so it's a good pickup for the Giants for sure. And that's kind of why they're out of the Imanaga sweepstakes now. But
Placing that lefty.
yeah,
I do also think that it's not the worst trade ever for the Mariners. I mean, you're gaining two players who will be on your roster, especially, both have some upside, I think. And I imagine Robbie was getting quite a good chunk of change.
yeah, he got paid pretty solid, and I think the Mariners somebody sent cash one way or the other. It's like $6 million. I think did the Giants get it? I'm not sure, but it was pretty even trade, and the Mariners got back a starter that is maybe a five starter, but they already have like a full rotation, so I'm not sure what they're planning on doing with him.
I think he'd be much, much better out of in that role that Nick Pivetta was in for the Red Sox last year. Kind of like relief innings if you kind of have some kind of weird game going on, or replacing a starter who gets hurt or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe they do plan on trading one of their
Yes.
four guys below Castillo. Like,
Mr. Kirby to the Sox.
yeah, I did see a mock for him and have Meyer and Anthony going to the Mariners.
Yeah, so just pair up J-Rod and Roman Anthony one day, Marcelo Mayer in the infield. I think we'll probably pass on that one.
It's a definite pass.
Uh,
I think one guy would be hard to get rid of, so yeah.
Then our last two to touch on, or I guess three, we did see Sale got a 2-year deal, or kind of extension there. Good for him. Not sure if I really wasn't expecting that, to be honest. But I guess they'll expect him to be injured for 3 more years or whatever they plan to do with him. And then probably the biggest one of the last week was Teoscar going to the Dodgers for a lot of money. I know Ethan's thoughts on Teoscar, but we can let him elaborate about that future MVP winner.
Yeah, so I'm definitely excited that the Sox did not sign him. I understand why we were interested because of his ability to play the outfield well and hit, and he's a righty. But coming off his last season where he struck out I think it was 211 times, which was third in the majors, that just doesn't excite me. Especially because we need a number 3 hitter pretty much between Devers and Casas. And it needs to be a threat, not somebody that's going to go strike out 35% of the time.
Yeah, I would have liked the defense part of it. That's kind of what was intriguing about it. But realistically, if our defense is going to be, subpar, there's no reason to have somebody that's above subpar, if you want to say. And then, if you're going to sign who will walk into next year, Soler being highly likely or highly pursued by the Sox, there really is no reason to freak out about losing the defense from Teoscar because it's not that good.
Yeah, now that we're off Teoscar, it's like the defense is no longer a priority, apparently. Because there's not many options left. Like, if we go sign Michael A. Taylor, then I'll probably just never watch a game again. So that'd be a terrible signing.
He's terrible.
But we need a guy that can hit 40 homers and just be a threat in the top of the lineup. And that's righty. That's probably the most important part.
So Soler coming off 36, do you think he replicates close to it? What do you actually predict him to do? Let's say he's wearing a Yankees uniform. What do you predict him having?
It's all about his health. Like his last 3 healthy seasons that he played the full season, he was very good. Like an OPS in the top 10 for righty hitters in the majors. Last season he would have ranked 7th among qualified righties for OPS, and 9th if you include Judge and JD Martinez, who did not qualify because of games played. But his 2023, 2021, and 2019 when he broke the Royals all-time homers record,
Yeah.
which was crazy. But if he can even do 75% of what he did those years, like I think that top 4 of the lineup for the Sox could be really good.
I mean, when he hit the home run versus the Astros, it's one of those at bats. It's like a Batista to me that I will not forget because the ball was hit so far. I don't think they measured even close to right. I think what happened is they were measuring it and they said, I don't think we can get that one, so let's just throw a number out and hope to God it's right because that ball was juiced.
The only guy I can compare him to is Stanton in the league, and honestly, he might even be like above him now. If he plays at Fenway, he's going to be putting holes into the wall. He might be the first person to ever get thrown out at first base after hitting a ball off the wall, and that's already hits him.
Yeah, and like it would be cool to see somebody like that coming off a good year. It is exciting. I think it is more exciting than Tiescar. I think the only reason Tiescar was more intriguing to me was like maybe some longer term potential. But Jorge, for a 2-3 year deal, whatever they decide to do with him, if we do pursue that heavy, it is going to be like a good pickup. It's definitely not going to be a bad one.
Yeah, basically just a DH. Cannot play the field well at all. He's like a -2 WAR outfielder.
Yeah, he's terrible for sure out there.
But we wanted to put Yoshida at DH, kind of was the thought. And now if we sign Soler, it's like, do we trade Yoshi or do we just stick with him in left? He's not like, it's not the end of the world to play him in left. It's just he's not an above average left fielder.
Yeah, and I guess this kind of leads us into our next discussion where we can continue of what we're talking about here, which is going into our little Red Sox segment here. We do have some interest growing in Yoshida and Kenley, specifically Yoshida the last couple days, from what I've been reading. If we do sign Soler, I don't know if you can move on from a guy that quick who had such a solid year and kind of like, sure, he might ground out a lot, but I really enjoy watching him put the ball in play sometimes, whether or not it's a smoked ball, a weak ground ball. He doesn't strike out like not even close to some of these other guys. And sure, the outfielding's not great, but I wish there was some way to get him to play right field. Because in Fenway, I think that's going to be easier. And if we could somehow replace, if we could somehow have a lineup where we could have Soler at DH, Yoshida and right, put the, O'Neill and Duran out there, if they can somehow function, the defense is going to be bad regardless. I just feel like Yoshida is not going to be making plays that are going to be making us lose games in right field. He might be doing that in left field, but he might not be throwing guys out in right field, but he might not be making errors like as much as left field.
Yeah, it's not even like the errors as much as not getting to many balls. I think his jump is what's hurts him. I'm not sure what the metrics are, but he doesn't look bad because when we watch him, he makes all the plays. He's just not getting to the balls in the gap that Mike Trout would get to in his prime, which is obviously a lot to ask for. But our defense was just so bad last year that everybody sticks out as being not good besides Story. And Duran was actually pretty solid in center last year too. But I don't know. I think there's more to trading him than just roster construction. I think signing somebody from Japan, you don't want to just trade him after a year.
Yeah.
That hurts our odds of ever signing a guy again from over there.
Definitely. Hurts everybody. I mean, specifically Japan, but everybody that's kind of in that role of him, like a DH type of player, they might not want to be coming here, especially younger guys. Yeah, it does suck that he isn't, making elite defensive plays, but his contract is honestly pretty nice. It's not that bad. If he bats 300 and does what he did last year with maybe some more production, more doubles, more home runs, less double plays, less hard hit groundouts, there's so much excitement there. He's a growing name in Fenway. He's a very likable person, obviously, and I think he really likes it in Fenway because we were the guy that signed him.
It's so hard to judge a guy off one season. His first season in the majors, like it's completely different. The travel schedule's way tougher. You play every single day for a month straight sometimes.
Yeah.
The season's long, and I don't know how Shohei's first year was offensively, but it wasn't like he is now. Imagine if we judge Shohei off
Yes.
his first season. I don't know. I still have a lot of faith in Yoshi.
So I really have never thought of that perspective. I do like that a lot, and I'm going to use that going forward. Judging Shohei on his first season would be something that would be extremely premature because it was average. Sure, his contract I think wasn't any. It's not really that bad for like what they signed him for the Angels, like how expensive it is. But I remember watching him pitch most of the time because we don't really see that many like ground outs from an Angels game, especially if you're not going away to watch him hit. All you're seeing is the home runs. But yeah, definitely nothing crazy. I don't really remember either. I just remember seeing him pitching, which sucked. Imagine if they could have judged him on his pitching, which was pretty average at sometimes. I mean, Mookie took 15 balls in a row yard against him. Like I remember watching that game, and I was rooting for Mookie. I was like posting about Mookie. I was like, screw this guy, you know. Mookie's walking all over this Japanese prospect.
Yeah, I'm pulling up his stats right now. Let's see. So in 2018, he batted 285, still pretty good. But 22 homers, and then in 2019 he hit 18 homers. So that's nothing crazy. That's not the 44 homers he hit this year, and the 46 he hit 2 years ago. So there is an adjustment period for these guys, and you have to let them play out at least 2-3 years before you can really judge them.
Do you think Yoshida? So I'm looking at Yoshida's stats too. Finished the year with a 783 OPS. Do you believe Yoshida could have his OPS get into the 900 range?
Maybe not 900 just because of the homers that would require, but even if it's 850, that's still really good. And we don't need him to be the 4-hitter anymore because Casas has grown into that already. Even if he's the 5 or 6 hitter, that's like one of the best 5-6 hitters in the league, especially with his strikeout rate and his walk rate like being so elite.
Yeah,
it's a good signing, I think. A good guy to keep for sure.
well, and especially like if you move a guy that, as an organization, if you move a guy like Verdugo, who the team or the fans particularly might like, if you compare their stats, I mean, I'm taking Yoshi. I don't care about Verdugo's defense. I think Verdugo's defense, he made some extremely great plays last year, but I think the extremely great plays made his statistical year better defensively. I don't truly believe that he is a Gold Glove caliber right fielder. That is my personal opinion, but I was shocked when he was making some of these excellent catches. And I'm taking Yoshida's walks and even a couple more homers than Verdugo than taking Verdugo's fielding.
Yeah, he's definitely a better player than Verdugo. The first half for Yoshi, he was basically an all-star. Like he should have made probably the all-star game.
Yeah.
And he just fell off. Like he was batting over 300 for 2/3 of the season. Then he got tired and started rolling over everything. So that kind of just shows how much tougher the MLB was for him to adjust to.
Yeah, and how many games did he miss here? Let's see. He missed 22 games. I bet he's probably sat out like 10. He probably only missed about 10 from injury.
Yeah, they started sitting him because he would do better after he got rest. Like, I don't think they would ever play 7 games in a row in Japan. It was always 6 days, so that they would give him an off day to kind of get a refresh.
And he's making 16 a year, correct?
I'm not sure like how it's structured, but it's like 16 to 20.
Yeah, so if he's costing, let's just say Teoscar and him, 2 different players, but Teoscar just got a lot. And if somebody's taking Teoscar over Yoshida, I don't know. I'm just not one of them. I'm just not.
I was very surprised by the Teoscar contract. He was projected 4 years, 80 million, and then he takes 1 year, 23
Yeah.
or 24, whatever it was. But he must just want to go win. I assume that's why he went there.
Yeah.
There's really no other reason why he would take a 1 year deal.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's the last Dodgers signing.
Well,
actually, no, they still need a closer. So
it's probably going to be easier for him to hit too when he's going to bat probably like 15th in the order. Considering, I mean,
he has no pressure to do anything.
Yeah, his job is not hard. It is to strike out in homer, pretty much. So he'll succeed.
Yeah, I'm so glad he's not batting second or third for the Sox.
Yeah, watching him bat second would have been dreadful. I would have much rather seen like Story be in that second role than him.
Yep.
And then the interest in Kenley, I haven't heard much in the last couple of days about that. I think if we sign Soler, I don't think we're going to move Kenley unless some ridiculously nice offer happens. I do think we'll probably rock with the team we have and send it in there and see what we got. We might sign another pitcher or trade for a pitcher with some young guys. But if we don't sign Soler or like get that big bat in there, we might move on from him.
Yeah, the Kenley thing was just like an easy payroll dump. That's kind of the reason why he's the name that's popped up. But if we're not interested in Snell or Montgomery or anybody big anymore, there's no reason to dump that payroll.
Yeah.
So might as well keep him.
He's going to be solid.
Yeah, we can always trade him at the deadline and save half that contract if we're not in contention.
I would certainly like to watch him because, again, he's good for the locker room 100%. And we don't have a ton of guys in our locker room who are veterans, obviously. It's a young team with some old farts on it, and we need his old farting because he's Hall of Fame closer, no doubt.
Yeah, easily. Now, the veterans now are like Story,
Yeah.
Giolito for his one season in Boston. But it's really like it's Story's team now. Besides Raffy, but Raffy doesn't really want to be that guy.
Yeah, and it's hard to have a guy that doesn't even speak English not be your captain or be your captain. Stupid as it might sound, it's not. I don't think Raffy is going to be telling Yoshida, who obviously doesn't speak English either, hey man, let's get this done. At least Kenley could go up to the translator and say, hey, go tell that guy to wake the fuck up. Raffy's going to have to go to his translator, who's going to tell that translator to do that.
Yeah, English is just a lot easier if you have that guy.
But hey,
that was Justin Turner too. That was him last year. Now we're not even interested in him anymore, which is crazy.
I would love to see like some late signing on him though. I would love to see both of them. Get Soler and Turner. Why not?
Turner's gonna cost like 15 at the most for one season.
Yeah,
and
man.
he can actually play the field.
Exactly.
He's better than Teoscar.
We don't need anything out of him besides to be the guy with the red beard that the Red Sox fans like and to go in there and get some clutch hits, get dirty, and be an old guy. Is that really that much to ask to pay that guy? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully we get treated well here. Maybe we go nuts and sign all these guys and go just ballistic. Snell becomes a Sock. Soler. We get JT back. We trade for the Curb or the Ceasenator. Then he was talking being a favorite in the AL. Seriously, though, if Kirby somehow gets to the Sox without getting rid of those guys, I would be ecstatic. I like Kirby.
Yeah. If we sign Imanaga, trade for a starter like Kirby or Luzardo, who can be a 1 or 2, and then we sign Soler, we're a playoff team. Like, it's so easy to do that, those 3 things. It's not even expensive.
That's like $40 million a year, maybe, between those first 2, and then you trade some prospects for a good pitcher.
Which, who knows if the prospects will ever be good. It's obviously you want them to pan out and be great, but we know these starters are good already.
Especially with like having Story. I mean, we have Story for some time. I want to see Marcelo play baseball like really bad. I think having a good shortstop, I think having a shortstop that can play the infield well and bat average, which is replaceable, like you can go find somebody to do that for you, is much easier than replacing a outfielder who can do supposedly everything with this Roman Anthony kid. So if Mayer was the guy we got rid of and we saw some, positivity from Story this year, I think we'd look like geniuses because we'd be getting Kirby, Luzardo, one of those two aces, essentially. Story, hoping he gets better. And then we still have studs to come up. If we could somehow move like York and the catcher, Teal, and all those guys, I don't think they're ever going to take it. But I wouldn't even look at the trade. I would just be like, yes, we'll take it. There's no Mayer, Anthony, take it. I don't care. You can take everybody outside of those guys.
Yeah, those top two guys for us, they get the job done easy. If we offer that, the deal's done.
Yes.
Or at least Luzardo. And maybe Kirby will take one of them plus York and Rafaela or something, but still.
Yes, Rafaela could get moved too.
Kirby's he's a top 10 pitcher already. I think that's where I saw him in the ranking.
We will be discussing him in one of our topics here coming up later, at least on my list. But real quick, we're just going to go over the Red Sox lineup real quick. I saw a post that me and Ethan were talking about a little bit. They projected this to be the 9, at least this guy. I try to kind of mix it up a little bit, but I went back to the original order because I think Story batting 6 probably makes sense right now. But if Soler is signed, you're looking at Jarren Duran, who produced. Rafael Devers, who, come on, if you don't know who Rafael Devers is, grow up. Tristan Casas, who was unbelievable last year in the second half specifically. Soler, who was great. Hypothetically an all-star. Can't catch a ball, but he'll hit one over the fence that can't be caught. Yoshi, top 5 rookie of the year, I believe he was. Trevor Story is a shortstop great. One of the best shortstops I've ever watched play the infield. Has so much potential, but is coming off a big confidence lacking point. I picked O'Neill between the Tyler O'Neill and Abreu. However, having Story, O'Neill, and Grisham all back-to-back and Wong would be a nightmare, so maybe Abreu would be playing here. Then you have Grisham with tons of upside. And then you have Mr. Connor Wong, who I like to call Hair. That's an elite baseball offense. I don't care what anybody says. I wouldn't say that. I would say that if that was the Yankees team. I'm taking this team over Judge, Soto, and whoever the hell you want to tell him is top 3 over there. Verdugo, fucking Stanton. Mike Stanton can suck on these because he's terrible.
Yeah, just looking at the OPS from last season, the Devers, Soler, Casas, they're all in the top 20 for the league of qualified hitters. And the only other teams with a big 3 like that are the Dodgers and Braves. They may actually have even more than 3, but still.
Yeah.
That's elite of elite. I do think they'll probably go Story 5, Yoshi 6 just for the righty-lefty.
That would probably be better, yeah.
And then Willier actually probably will be on the team. I thought maybe they put him in AAA if he's not going to play, but we do need a lefty bat for sure. So that'd be smart.
Do we think the bench is going to be like Valdez or Abreu or backup catcher? Who are we going to have our backup catcher be? What's the talk on the backups? Because I honestly have a very little good guess on that one.
We usually go 13 position guys, so that'd be 4 on the bench. I think it would be Reese will definitely be there as a backup as of now. Ref Snyder will still be there.
Oh, so he's not going to be cut or traded or DFA'd or traded?
As of now, no, because we actually paid him a couple million. And then it's Willier probably for a lefty, and then probably Pablo Reyes for backup infielder.
Okay.
I think Rafaela and Valdez will stay in AAA because they want them getting at bats, and we don't care about Pablo getting at bats. It's just he can just be there for backup.
Yeah, I would like to see Rafaela and Valdez get some time eventually, and they definitely will play because we know injuries happen. So it is cool that we have some guys that are actually fun to watch come up there and hit. I didn't really watch much of Abreu because he did play when we were like basically ruled out of contention a lot. So sure, like I wanted to watch the last 10 games of the season or whatnot, but it is hard when to watch the last 10 games when you know there's nothing on the line. Um, but I'm excited to see what the team comes out to be. I wonder what's going to happen if we don't sign Soler. I wonder who would fill that void, like if we sign nobody. I don't know what the lineup would look like, but it takes a big hit if we don't sign somebody elite. Like even if we don't replace it with Duvall or something.
The only guys I could see as a righty bat filling that role besides Soler would be Turner, then maybe JD if he can do what he did last year. But as of what's left on the market, that's really it. Hoskins coming off a torn ACL, maybe, but you don't want to risk that. So Soler is he's like a must get now. After hearing these rumors that we're the favorite.
Yeah, it is good that we were, highly pursuing. That's good to see that tweet come in. The word pursuing and highly next to each other usually tend to be accurate. Besides the Blue Jays, obviously. I mean, they signed Shohei for about 5 seconds.
He was on his way there, in his house in Cali.
All right, so kind of goes some funners. Did I really just use the word funner? More fun segments here. Obviously, it's fun to talk about, players that were signed over the last week. And the Red Sox, like I told you, will be talked about in the middle of the podcast. So we can kind of get people to, click on, listen to what we have to say, kind of hear what we have to talk about the Red Sox if they're not fans or if they are, just so we don't kind of talk strictly about the Sox. But we're going to go into a cooler segment here where we're going to kind of list our predictions in races. This is all obviously granted some injuries we have, so you got to justify Shohei not being a Cy Young guy because, he'll be throwing lefty, I guess, if he's in the contention. DeGrom, if he makes his return, it's probably not going to be for that race. But we will hop into we'll switch off with leagues. I'll go with the American League first here, and then you can go with yours after mine, and then you can start with the NL, and we'll go back and forth there. So we're doing our top 5 for the MVP race. My American League, I'm going to say my whole list has no order, okay? So there's no order on my guys. I just think it's 5 guys who are going to be MVP race guys. And like I told you, or like I should say to everybody, my list is optimistic and kind of has some guys I'm rooting for. But one guy I think that is going to pop into that race is Altuve. I think Altuve is one of the most underrated players to ever play baseball. I don't like him, but he's good. I think Soto is going to outperform Judge. I have Seager. I have Robert Jr. and Rafi.
You want me to say my NL?
Yes. No, you could say your AL. Well, and
okay.
then.
Okay. So mine is kind of in order. It's a pretty boring list, honestly. I have Judge at 1. Just because people love homers and he hits lots of them.
Yeah, it's certainly a good take for sure. It's not dumb to put him there.
And the only reason I don't have Soto on my list is because if Judge wins it, or if he outperforms Soto, then he obviously can't win it. I have Seager 2, Bobby Witt 3, Julio Rodriguez 4, and then Mike Trout 5, just because he's Mike Trout and you never know if he stays healthy.
Bobby Witt is actually my 6, so we have some common ground there. But I don't think Robert is dealing with injury, right? Like he's going to play 162 from what we're understood.
No, that's definitely a good choice.
And then here's my ridiculous one. So this is my one that is never going to happen, but it's fun. If you had to pick on any player, who would this be? This could be anybody in the American, anybody. So who would you think my choice is? I've talked about him very little. He played very well at the end of the season last year. He barely got to play because of injury. He's in a terrible division, but he's a good player, and he has a big future, I think.
The guy from the Twins?
It is. It's Royce Lewis.
Yeah.
He's my ridiculous MVP prediction. Because if you did perform over a 162-game season, which obviously is a ridiculous thing, he would have hit 47 home runs or something. His OPS would have been stupid. So just my fun prediction. Never going to happen. Plus 25,000 or whatever it is, I'll take it for $5.
You never know. NL, do you want me to say mine?
Yeah, you can start with that one.
So for NL MVP, I also have this in order, and this is like as straightforward as it gets. I think these are actually the top five in betting odds.
Yeah.
So I did rearrange them. Mookie 1, Acuna 2, Harper 3, Otani 4, and then Tatis 5. The only reason I have Tatis is because people love WAR, and his defense in the right field is actually like really good, surprisingly, and that helps his WAR a ton. If he hits 35 homers and plays Gold Glove defense, that'll help his odds a lot.
So I think Mookie's obviously a no doubter. Like, sure, I would put him on my list. I knew you were going to put him there in the list, so I avoided him because I will take. I think Shohei is going to hit something retarded like 60 plus nukes because he's not going to be even remotely pitching. Um, but Mookie's defense is obviously great, and he plays 65 positions, so that's going to certainly help his case. But my list in no order here is Acuna, Shohei. You'd be surprised because I have Tatis on mine too. I have him in the third spot, so I thought of him pretty quick. I have Harper, and then I have De La Cruz. Ellie coming in there, maybe leading the team to the playoffs. Who knows what happens? And then my ridiculous one is Jazz Chisholm.
If he can figure out how to be consistent and not like break his feet like he keeps doing,
Yeah,
then he'll be in there.
he's a pretty good fielder, and a ton of upside. He could do something crazy with like 1,000 steals and a good amount of homers next year or something. I don't know. I like the Marlins. Thought I'd throw him in there for fun, which will lead us into our Rookie of the Year race, which is pretty straightforward, especially with the National League. I mean, there's really not much going on there. I'll start with the NL this time. I have Yoshi coming in there. I mean, he basically needs to just go out there and pitch a lot, and he'll perform. And then I have the other Jung Ho Lee. And then the guy I'm rooting for, which he's probably going to pitch like 0 games in the majors, is Paul Skeens. I'm hoping that he can get brought up, but obviously probably not going to happen. But I think it's probably going to be Yoshibu pretty undoubtedly.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yamamoto is gonna easily take that, I think.
Yeah.
And then Jung-Hoo Lee, I have in my 2, and then for my 3, that was kind of tough because there's just like so many uncertain guys. But I went with Jackson Barrio, I think is how you say it.
Oh, is that the kid
He's
from Brewers?
Yeah, he's the number 2 prospect in the league, and or actually no, he's like number 6.
He's good.
He is.
I think I honestly
He is too.
didn't
Yeah.
even think of the name. Like, I do think that he will do some damage. If Yamamoto gets hurt, underperforms, whatnot, I mean, I do think he's the number 3 option all day.
He signed an 82 million deal already, and he hasn't even played a major league game, so that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's got to have some confidence with that contract already. Look at Acuna.
Yeah, or pressure. Who knows?
Yes. And you can lead us into the AL prediction here.
For AL, I have Evan Carter 1, just because of what he did last season in the postseason. Jackson Holiday 2, and Junior Caminero 3, who's supposed to be Wander's replacement.
You're kidding. He's on the fucking Rays? Oh my god.
He is. He's the number 6 prospect in the league.
Not good. That means he's going to win. That's not good. Well, I should just put him at 1 now. He's not even on my list. I also have Carter at 3, Jackson Holiday at 2, and I have Langford at 1. I don't know if Langford gets brought up or not soon enough, but I think he'll be pretty fucking good. And he doesn't have a lot of pressure at all. I'm sure he'll not be batting in a very important place in the order.
Was he on betting odds?
I don't know if he is on the odds.
'Cause it says projected 2025, but he is in AAA, so he could get brought up. I don't know.
I
don't know a lot about him.
I didn't look at the DraftKings, or not the DraftKings. I didn't look at the betting odds list. I looked at kind of just some prospect lists that are potentially to be good. Kind of like percentage chance of winning the award. They had Paul at like 6%, so I mean, clearly he's not even going to play a game. But just for Livy Dunn, I had to give her a shout out.
You don't have to play the full season to win it, especially for Rookie of the Year. Like these guys can come up after the All-Star break and go crazy. So
I mean, he could shove it. And my reasoning for it is because the Pirates bring up guys fast. So, I mean, they brought up that catcher pretty quick. Hunter there, or Henry, or whatever his name is, Hunter Davis.
Yeah.
Henry
Yeah,
Davis.
Henry Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy was on our fantasy team for about a couple weeks, and we finessed him through to a guy who got hurt. So we basically finessed him for an IL guy, essentially, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually played the outfield a lot, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
He's okay. I mean, they do bring guys up quick, and Skeens, they need pitching, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a dog, clearly. I will lead us into a. We'll do the AL. I'll do the AL first, yeah. The AL Cy Young here. I have a ridiculous one at the end for my sixth one. So, in any order, I have Cole, Kirby, Framber, Scooble, and Giolito. And then my ridiculous prediction is Grayson Rodriguez.
Oh, so Julia wasn't the ridiculous one.
No. That's my optimistic one. Grayson is my favorite prediction on the list. I threw him in there because I was just like, who's a guy that pissed me off last year that I feel like could do something? Boom.
Manoa. He could do it.
Noah. Imagine. That'd be a crazy bet if you did win it.
All right, so mine's a couple repeats. I had Cole, Kirby, Gosman, Evaldi, and I put Verlander at 5 just because he does it every year. I don't really like him, but he does it every single season. So he's like 95 years old.
I think Verlander's a good one too, but I think Gausman's gonna bounce or go backwards a little bit. I don't know though.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see too much of an issue with him last year, especially in the first couple times. We fucking racked that guy.
Sox played pretty well against good pitching.
Yeah, I know, which is kind of crazy because if we could beat the Oakland A's, we might be in the playoffs last year. And then last, we have our National League prediction for you to start us off with.
I have Zach Wheeler, Spencer Strider, Yamamoto, Logan Webb, and Jesus Luzardo.
Yamamoto. You should have put in Luzardo in the AL because he could be on the Sox.
Yeah, but I also didn't do any free agent guys, so I kind of didn't want to do that either. I really hope it's on the Sox.
Yeah, I almost threw Bauer in here for shits and giggles. It's funny, but I also have Luzardo in the NL, so I was just shooting it. I have Luzardo, Zach Gallen, Strider, Erod, and Senga. I do think Senga is really good. Pretty nasty stuff going on there. But we'll see. I guess I need to see more from him. But
he was second in Rookie of the Year, and he was getting Cy Young votes last season, so he's pretty good.
Yeah, he was nasty. I mean, like we were talking about judging the guys off the first year, pretty amazing first year as a pitcher. That's pretty hard to do, especially on a team that blows.
He's going to be their ace now, especially with Scherzer and Verlander gone. He's easily the ace, unless they sign someone crazy like Snell. Even still, he could be the ace.
My ridiculous prediction for that one is Merrill Kelly, which I honestly don't think's that bad.
Pretty solid in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think if the Diamondbacks, the reason I put Erod and Kelly in there is because I'm pretty, like I talked about in the first one, I was saying they could fall back, but I feel pretty confident in them being good again or doing something. So in order for that to happen, you're going to need to see Erod, Gallen, and Kelly. I mean, 3 Diamondbacks. I guess one of them is going to win the award because I have 60% of my list there.
Could happen. Maybe all 3 will share it.
Yeah. Imagine they just have the best rotation in the league. But I know we just briefly went over all these guys, or not really too in depth. So if there's anybody in particular that you would like to dive into that you think why they're going to be getting this award, or what your reasoning is for it besides the obvious ones. We could discuss that one because like we kind of had on this list, the NL for everything is pretty straightforward. I mean, maybe not pitching, but like the MVP stuff, you could literally just put the Dodgers first three guys if you wanted, and then you throw in Harper and Acuna and you call it good, and your list is respectable.
Yeah, same with the Braves, Olsen and Acuna, and maybe even throw Austin Riley on there. Although he's worse than Devers, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not a big Austin Riley guy, mostly because of what he did to us last year, but also he is so inconsistent, like so streaky.
Yeah, he went on a stretch that was like, I don't even know. He had like 10 homers in a week.
Yeah, that was
It was
so
crazy.
stupid. Just so you guys know, that was against us in fantasy.
Literally lost probably our playoff hopes.
I mean, even depending on the success of, we're gonna probably post this for a while and hope to God it takes off because we love talking about this stuff. I know that I could sit on here all day and talk about football and baseball and all kinds of regular stuff. We're gonna also be doing some regular person, IRL podcasts for fun. We'll probably see some new faces on here, like my brother or some of my other friends. But we are gonna probably do a fantasy team together as well as a league. We're hoping to get a league where maybe some of our viewers or some of our friends can join in and play. But the one together we'll probably touch on the podcast every week. Discuss what we lost, why Riley had 25 homers in a week, kind of that stuff, because it is fun and it's a good way to add some time or some good stuff to the podcast, some unique stuff to the podcast so much. Because pretty much anybody with a brain cell could sit here and tell you that Shohei is an MVP favorite. I mean, I shouldn't even say with a brain cell. You don't really need one to say that one. But yeah, we actually did pretty good on time today. Is there anything else that you'd like to discuss? Because we definitely do have some time to maybe throw in some extra stuff.
Honestly, it's just like the offseason's been so weird with signings. There's still a decent amount of guys left to sign. Maybe not major contracts besides Bellinger, Snell, and Montgomery. Maybe Chapman or Hader. But the other guys are going to be like 1, 2, 3-year deals. Still impactful players, but nothing crazy. And there's a lot of them out there, especially right-handed bats.
So is Hader getting traded or has to get signed?
He's a free agent, so he's not going back to the Padres.
Okay, so that's what I thought. That's good because yeah, he's definitely. I mean, when that happens, that's going to be a big boy signing. That's going to be important. Anybody who gets him is obviously going to get tremendously better. He's very good. He's been disgusting in all years he's pitched in.
Probably the Rangers or the Dodgers, if I had to guess.
And the Rangers would be scary. That would be so bad. Oh my God. I mean,
The only thing they lack is a bullpen, pretty much. Besides injuries in their rotation, but their bullpen needs somebody at the end like that.
I mean that team is loaded if you think about it. Like with like Hall of Famers and all-star players in their careers. Maybe not so much current day good, but they are still pretty good, all of them. I mean that team is very good. Especially with like Jung becoming great and like Jonah Heim giving you streaky production. Tavares was great at one point. That team is. I do think it could give the Dodgers trouble if it gets healthy and everybody can stay healthy.
That division is sneaky good with the Mariners getting better. The Astros always good.
Yeah.
So one of those teams isn't going to make the playoffs. Maybe even two of them if the AL East is good again. So who knows? Like the Rangers could somehow get left out of the playoffs, even though they might be the best playoff-ready team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they get left off, I guess that's true because they are kind of, not guaranteed to make it because a lot of their guys will be coming back later. I actually just Googled something funny, and today there's been a lot of reports on it. I was just thinking about the Rays, um, about Wander Franco. Um, it does say Franco is facing lesser charges in the DR. Um, it seems like, what is it? He's going to jail, like officially, or
So they
is
like, I think they released him, but like set a hearing or something. But I also heard he's probably gonna get like banned from the United States, which means he can never play baseball again, at least in the MLB.
so we might see him in the World Baseball Classic for about 5 minutes.
Probably not. um, I saw a crazy quote from him. He like said he doesn't regret anything. He's glad he took the risk. It's just like absurd.
Is he still with like? So what is the final accusation or final thing that happened?
So he was caught with a minor, and there was also money laundering between him and the minor's mom. So the mom is facing charges because she was in on basically like using her daughter for money.
Okay, yeah. So I essentially allegations had a relationship with a 14-year-old. Franco paid 2 million, only for $34,000, 2 million pesos though. Uh, Required by a judge. Franco is free to leave DR. He was ordered to appeal. Yeah, the girl's 35-year-old mother also is charged in the case and was ordered held under house arrest. It wasn't immediately clearing if Franco planned. Franco signed an 11-year, $182 million contract. His
He
salary
probably
last
already
year and this
made
year
a
is
lot.
2 mil.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, so he might not get any of that legally, but where would that money go if the Rays would the Rays get that money back for him doing that?
They just wouldn't have to pay him anything else since he hasn't played. Um, so I mean, their payroll is going to be like with the A's down at the bottom.
Yes.
I don't think they're paying anybody because now that Glasnow's gone, I don't know how much Randy's making. I don't know if he's signed a deal yet.
Wasn't he like one of those long shot trade potentials for teams? Like
Randy?
people were thinking like maybe we could throw him somewhere.
Yeah, until they traded Margot, I haven't heard anything since that because they traded him with Glasnow.
Yes, that was crazy that they just gave both of them away for fun. Yeah, like Margot's not even that bad. Yeah, Rosarena's making 4 mil a year. That's good.
Honestly, if they don't extend him, they might as well trade him. But he'll probably be there next. They'll probably give the Wander contract to him, a little bit smaller. But
He's good.
I don't even know if they have fans anymore.
Yeah, the new
Nobody
stadium
cares.
will be there in 26 years, and then they'll have no fans or players by then that are worth anything.
It's still in St. Pete, right? That's where it's going, the new one.
Yeah, so it's essentially going to be 2.0, just
So
cooler.
it's going to be a nicer stadium that still requires a 45-minute drive from Tampa.
Yeah, as well as the fact that it's surrounded by like a pretty rundown area. Nothing awesome. It's stupid. It should strictly like they should just wipe out Lecter and all of Ybor and just drop it. And nobody in the audience knows probably what Lecter is. But Ybor City, basically a downtown part of Tampa, is just a nightmare of like a crime festival. Really doesn't produce that much money for the city. Just put the stadium there, and your growth between people like myself and Ethan who tried to move there would just drastically improve. Like, I mean, you could even start charging more for rent with that stuff around because you have the Lightning, the Bucks, and the Rays. And honestly, the Bucks Stadium is still out of the way. Just as an all, the Tampa Bay Rays might be bad for. I mean, they might hang around with a bunch of these decent prospects like they always do, but they should be bad for a long time.
It's really concerning that they had playoff games with like half capacity filled. Like that's unheard of in any sport.
Yeah,
Playoff game not being sold out, or at least close to it. And if it was in Tampa, then it's sold out easily. I think at least.
yeah, and maybe not even by Rays fans, but somebody would go watch.
Yeah, for sure.
It's mostly because of how getting to that place is difficult. But anyways, don't want to talk about stuff that people will not fully understand what we're meaning. But essentially, that's pretty much it for us today. Didn't have any comments from the first one, which I get. Like I talked about in the beginning, this format is a little different. We're pre-recording a video and posting it. But it's basically a podcast in a nutshell. Hopefully, I can get to the point where I can post it to YouTube directly, so the one take is the take. And then you get views on the live video that was there, that is now posted as a video. But I kind of like doing it this way because you get prepared better. You don't have like people talking to you live, like comments or anything. So it's kind of fun in a way that it's a good format. But if you do have anything that you guys want us to talk about, any suggestions, any fun games, any fun skits for us to do, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to do any of them. I'm going to be posting a football one soon, as well as a IRL one soon. A football one will be done before the playoff games, and the IRL one I'm going to try to get done before the playoff games too, but that's probably going to be around that time. I got to talk to Ethan and Corey and some others and try to get a good squad together for that. But we would appreciate some support, so make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, follow the social medias, keep an eye on the TikTok. The TikTok, going to be sending people to this, hopefully. Hopefully that's going to do better. I want to get a couple videos posted before I start advertising on there, so people can kind of watch our videos in like a long-term, one-term space. They can watch several at once. But yeah, we appreciate anybody that's tuning in, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. And we will see you next time. Go Red Sox.